upset Stompy Chicken and Ox ultimately, and Aqua will steal the race at the very end.
Well, we'll have to see how things pan out. Cup of mayonnaise if MMB wins out in Europe. So we'll have to see if that pans out for everyone. Now, guys, we are going to be jumping into game number in Europe. We're going to be jumping right into all the action. And to do so, we've got Monster D-Face, Dr. Lupo. Gentlemen, take it away.
Zeke, thank you very much. For those that are confused, Shy went on Twitter and made a bet and said if the three that we've all, I mean, we've seen them just absolutely destroyed thus far. If they do in fact win, then he will eat not a cup, an entire jar of mayonnaise on stream. And to be quite honest with you, I think that might be some of the best content that I've seen on the internet in quite a while. Now, going into Europe here, like I said, game 2, it's already rolling right now. Monster, before we jump right into it, what do you think? How do you think things are going to play out today?
I think my stomach hurts. I'm going to have to sit down and let this one kind of digest as we jump into these games. But let's go ahead and hop right in. It's Europe.
95 players remaining. Only one trio in Hull has gone down. And we're jumping right into retail with the trio themselves, Benji, Mongrel, and Mitro. Honestly, some of the most dominant players in solos and duos, and now they're trioed up.
That's right.
And crazy kitted already. A gold RPG.
That's
right
literally what I want to touch on right there. The retail row loot.
Look at the inventory.
Sets them up for success. You're looking at straight up legendary inventory. And the best of the best, what do they choose? Shield bubbles. Shield bubbles, one of the new items introduced to Fortnite, and it's a great item, right? It's so versatile. So you're going to see shockwaves, you're going to see launch pads, campfires, and even with the recent adjustment to the loot, the way it's divvied out here in retail, it's still so prominent in the loadouts. You're going to see the difference. And just look at the map on the side. Basically, no one around them to contest.
It's wild to think. So I'm going to say it, and I'm pretty sure everyone is already thinking it, as we've seen them play over the course of the qualifiers for this event. If no one contests retail, or it's lightly contested, let's say somebody drops black tops and they take Resi side, or however it's split.
I can tell you what that means.
It
means Shio is 100%
eating the mayonnaise.
Eating the mayonnaise.
100% guaranteed eating the mayonnaise. In fact, production, can we get a jar of mayonnaise ready just at some point before Sunday? Because based on what we've seen thus far, we have an insane mat count across the board already. Look at the inventory. This is ridiculous. They are kitted to the teeth. 11 points already going into game 2. Game 1 must have. We'll have to take a look back if we can see exactly how that played out for them the previous round. But they're moving in. They have maybe. Granted, we can see on the minimap that there's nobody at Dusty Depot right now, but that's a potential drop spot for a trio at this point. But right now it's uncontested. You see there's builds there and there's no one around. They have free rotation in. You see where the next circle ends up. Meanwhile, you're going to have teams smushed up against each other already on the movement in, fighting it out. We're looking all the way to the north side of the map, just past the block. A number of players probably dropping up there.
And this is a veteran team right here. The Vic, Robabs, and Falcony been around the scene for a long while here, and they're just dictating the pace of this battle here as they're trying to look for this push right now. The shield bubble's not going to be effective. He actually had to push out of it, and it's a 3v1 situation right here. Down comes the Stinker. That's going to have to push him back, and it should be a nice, easy close-in. You can see right there.
Got him zoned inside. One box left. The quick edit. The swap. Lands the shot.
Nice
trap from above. Dodges it. Basically no damage taken.
It's a good attempt. Pretty good attempt right there. Did try to, catch the Vic off guard, but he was fast enough. Managed to kind of sneak on through.
By the way, on the right side of your screen, here's the results of game 1. You see Mongrel, Mitro, Benji Fishy taking 5th place. Bubblefly, Miro, Matsoe in the 1st place position up there, which means 15 points for that trio. There's the remainder of your top 10. Just a quick info blast there for you if you did not see game 1 on any of the channels that might be streaming their gameplay right now.
And I love that. I love that we can see exactly where we're at with the leaderboard. That was the wrap-up of game 1, your top 10 teams coming into game 2 now. And remember, every single heat, they're going against one another. So we're going to see rivalry. The best, like that leaderboard is going to change with every single elimination, every battle. They're going against each other.
With the exception, of course, once Mongrel, Mitro, and Benji take that 1st place spot. I'm just saying, they have been playing impossible. I mean, even Skyt Hunter and Keystar from Solary and Lestream This is an excellent trio in itself. But man, just the dominant gameplay from MMB has been insane to watch.
Yeah,
Up here on top of the hill now.
Sundown put it best. It's Europe playing catch up here with our favorite, I guess, team to look out for. But
absolutely,
we'll see how the performances go here as Hunter, Sky, and Keenstar are just going to base up, kind of sit just outside of the tilted town. You can take a look at that map there. Players are setting up. They're setting the perches. The high grounds are being claimed. And that is how you can start to choke out squads that are rotating late here. Now, they are going to hopefully, get a little bit of that RNG, right? Get that zone to fall in their favor, because otherwise they'd have to burn some valuable resource early on.
I will say, over 10 seasons of Fortnite, this hill has been one of the most consistent high ground advantage spots to take, and even now you're looking down on Tilted Town where there's no building. You have essentially free shots on players that do for some reason choose or are forced to rotate through there. This spot is insanely good. You have clear line of sight on so many different locations. Even the high hill to the north, which is high ground elevation wise, you still have a little nub at the top that can block line of sight of anybody that's moving on the north side of that hill. This trio, Sky, Keenstar, Hunter, they're in a great spot going into the next circle.
Absolutely. There's no reason for them to move right now either. As you said, they have a nice line of sight over the field here. And all those tags, those are crucial tags. Remember, Storm Surge can affect anyone here, so you have to be proactive. You can't just sit around and be complacent with your positioning. You have to be actively seeking for damage if you don't want to get taken out by the Storm Surge. But here we have another little engagement about to go down here. It looks like the Vic is currently turning, this house inside out. There's a team very close by.
Rotating forward just the southeast there, the gas station. Plus, you do have one more player at the gazebo in the middle of Pleasant Park. Going to rotate up on top, and I think now advantage. You don't want anybody to apply too much pressure. Plus, they are further away from the zone. So the team from TCK, they are in a good spot to just try and stormhold this, if that's what it comes down to. You have 3 potential point pickups here, eliminations. Actually, pressure going in here. Muser taking the high ground on top of this trio. Used that shockwave and got up on top. I would expect pressure from the other two here momentarily. We will see. But there is another trio. Look on the minimap. You have another team coming in from behind. So now both the trios that we just at this northeast building in Pleasant, they're about to get storm-held by another team down there. They're moving in as well. There's going to be 3 teams fighting basically in one building in a second here, and Gems is eliminated. You have a couple pickups there. The Vic, 3 eliminations now, a ton of materials, but you do have literally another team on top of them right now.
And that's what happens when Storm Surge comes into effect. People do desperate things. So this team was totally fine parked up here, but now they have to force the push here. They have to defend themselves, and lucky and their entire trio is still standing. This is a 3-way battle going on here, all of which is probably forced out because of Storm Surge now.
I guarantee you there's some
Robab
frustration.
did a good job here. He's going to get shot in the back. He's the most hurt. He's actually going to shockwave through, trying to find himself a better position here, Dr. Lupo. And he does. He breaks away. He's got a little bit of time to himself now.
Good call there to try and rotate away. They are a little split at this point. Falconly's going to have to rotate back. Junior 7 Josh and Tom Wamo all stacked up next to each other right there in front of the garage of that building. Wonder if the campfire is going to be a clue for them. If they do spot it and realize they might be low HP, it might be the time to push. They have a way to pressure. 5 shockwaves in the inventory of Robabs means rotation here in a minute is not going to be a problem. The team shockwave could come in clutch. Might be time for it. You see him line it up. In fact, he might even be marking it just to say, hey, let's get ready to go. Indeed, that's what he was doing. There we go. Rotation all the way south. Look at that. Solid push ahead of the team that did apply pressure moments ago. They have the circle advantage now, and now they are sitting at the forefront, able to stormhold.
And what a big reckless push. They had the zone, the storm, the safety zone, just to try and force that fight, and then failed.
You got to think the potential chance of taking damage from the storm surge might have been the reason for the push. Not 100% sure. We didn't have the number up on the screen at that moment, but the last second there, especially because you know the storm timer, the circle timer is on your screen, so they know that at some point, if they're going to push, they need to make it quick, or they just need to wait. Chose to move out there, and now they're on the outside. Meanwhile, 3 HP. The other two from the trio. And so Amplify still up. This is the winners from game one, by the way.
Oh, they are.
25 points. A big lead going into game two.
This is what we like to call shambles loot right here. Also equally hurt. They do have a couple of eliminations to their name here, but it's looking pretty dicey.
Look on your mini-map. They have to rotate past so many teams, and they're sharing loot right now just to try and give everybody a chance. I almost would say maybe Miro drop everything that he's got just in case, you know, any chance to boost up the other two, because at this point, 3 HP is not the best situation to be in. Here we go. Matsui pushing forward. The other two not yet on his tail. You see, you can watch the mini-map. Just a second there.
I appreciate Matsui kind of leading the charge here. He's the only one with shield on his team, so he says, you know what, I'm going to do the leading here, taking the pack to the next zone. And, I mean, it gets him a little bit closer to the safety spot. I think the play here is either catch a pick, get this siphon, or buy time, right? Hopefully a launch pad comes down, you guys get a little share time on it, and they can get that way to the zone.
That audio cue, you hear the shockwave, that actually is a very good signal for them being low HP. They don't want to make a move before somebody else, and Hunter gets almost beamed into the ground, but now free to rotate the team that was potentially going to be a problem. Big hit there. Gets the elimination. Very valuable. Amplify does, in fact, go down. You see in the top left, Raxo takes him down from D-Mine. 23 trios remaining, 61 players total. The threshold on the middle right, they're 343 damage above. But Miro still sitting on only 3 HP. The mini's going to be a big pickup there. Now 53 total.
At least he gets him a little more health here, right? Puts him in the game, keeps him in the running just for a little longer. This blue pump, and he actually is going to opt into keeping the gold tack. That's actually a pleasant surprise there. Wouldn't have thought that, you know, the pros would take the slower pull-out time from the gold tack over the blue pump.
You get a 200 damage hit with the blue pump, can mean the difference between making it into the circle and getting stopped by somebody. Maybe you get surprised inside your own box, somebody takes your wall. Situational awareness is big for the blue pump to be extremely effective, and your accuracy has to be on. But man, when the thing hits, it really hits.
You really got to appreciate this push right here, because they're still fighting for this game right here. There's a minigun over to the left. That hit right there is going to hurt a lot, though, because, again, the heals are so sketchy here. I think they have one more mini left to their name. Yeah, perfect time to come with the explodes right there. He's trying to break through the build. Someone's going to catch a sneak shot from behind, though.
That back right corner, Miro down to 49 on the ground. Matsui probably going to have to leave him out to dry there. Another team making moves on the side. The safe zone, the next safe zone is about the middle of your screen. Current safe zone, you see in the bottom right there, the mini-map. 5 damage below the threshold. Skype solo right now, looking for a tag, and he does actually find it, and an elimination is a big point right there. 20 trios remaining to get close to placement points before too long.
Just looking at the feed, I saw Mitro still in the running here somewhere in the game, so that trio, top 5 trio, still in the running here. I think our number 1 team might have been completely wiped during that push right there, so they're out. They cannot accumulate any more points, but they did pick up a lot of eliminations, so you best believe they're still in the top 10 as far as we know right now. But it's so early. It's still so early.
There's a lot of opportunity here. We still have a number of games left. Camo, Harmy, and Pepper at the top of this, looks like 4 or 6 block tower. Stinger to apply pressure while the minigun is going. Love the EU tactics. You don't see too much minigun other regions right now, but this Tomo does go down. Well, imagine that many rounds from a trio, all shooting at your single build and you're by yourself. It basically GG at that point.
And this team here is also an effective 7 plus for the squad right here, and they have the prime position to catch the picks of anyone rotating from the backside. This is actually perfect too, right? The heavy congestion is below them. They don't have anyone up here in this layer with them. The closest person is this trio right here to their left, and it looks like it's time to get that focus fire on. Here comes the minigun.
The mark for attacking right there, stink to apply and make a move. You use those HP tags that pop up, the 5, to see where your opponents are rotating. Now they're in literally the very bottom of the same builds. You have a ton of people stacked up next to each other at this point now. But Camo, Pepper, and Harmy look like they still have the ultimate high ground, the best spot on the map right now. That being said, they're on the far west of the current safe zone, and they need to rotate southeast. Hopefully some inventory to make this rotation. Otherwise, they're going to have to build across and tarp over everyone else underneath them. You do still see Benji, Fishy, Mongrel, and Mitro right there on your screen. They are still in this one. Looking down from almost the same angle. Here we go. Rotation with the launch pad. Well above the damage threshold for Storm Surge. Excellent spot. And 12 rockets in the RPG. They're going to build on pre-built structure over there. That somebody else put up. Might even be there.
You want to study from this star trio right here. Zone 6, they go for the high ground. So they're actually going to take the high ground. He's going to catch 2 on the knock right there, which means that team is really hurting now. That's going to be Voron who gets taken out there. Voron was also in the top 5, if I'm not mistaken. So that's a power take-a wager. The mayonnaise tub to the face. Fruition before the day's up.
Mitro staying a little bit towards the back, keep throwing down those RPGs at players that are rotating, or the builds to see if we can get drops on people. Mitro pick it up. There's those 2 elims in the feed, so he did secure both of them. That puts the entire trio at 6 total right now, 17 points, and we're looking at placement now, top 15 trios remaining. Only 29 players, though, as the elimination feed is starting to light up across the board. These are the zones that really cut the player count down as people are moving, especially when you have one of, if not the best trio on Ultimate High Ground with an RPG. Are you kidding me?
But
they are in the best spot.
Remember, it still hurts to hold high ground from Zone 6 so early. They're going to be forced to jump down soon if they can't, kind of map conserve properly. They're getting broken down consistently now by the shockwaves. These are one of the cons that happen when you take that high ground, because you don't get the pleasures of looting the players you drop, right? Just like that. All that loot's gone. They actually can't use it.
And every time you hear a shockwave, you'll see these players snap and look up in the air to see if they can try and find who's on the fly. In case you have free shots as that elimination is secured. Mitro picking up a knock on Falconly in the feed. Another one for the trio, 7 remaining. I've got to say, if this is not a win for this team, I don't know what is.
It's going to be a close one. Mongo actually did not have any more AR left in his gun. There's no more RPG left here. It's a straight-up shotgun battle. This is a crucial elim. That's going to get them some of the resources that they need to cutting back across. So lucky for them, they're going to be able to kind of reuse some of their resource here. We have a couple players left in the game here. Red Rush in the low ground, Shaka and Cal as well. And here's Mitro just raining fire. That tac sub SMG so good for shredding through builds right here. And honestly, they can pierce through the turbos like right there. These are the shots. Good pressure right here from Mitro, putting down the fire, putting all the ammunition to use here. We're almost in the final zone now. This is it. Storm Zone 9. The close in will happen. You saw him elevate himself right there. So he's going to get out of the harm's way of the shockwave, and Mitro's going to stay down here and just get down and dirty with the TAC SMG right now, Lupo.
You have to remember at the last set of placements here, the points really kick up as you go from 5th to 4th and 3rd to 2nd, and then the victory royale. So every time you see a player go down, like right there, the 4 trios remaining get even more points. As soon as one more trio goes down, we're looking at 1st and down to the very last second here, the spray from above. This honestly, as soon as we got to top 40, this was Mongrel, Mitro, Benji Fishy, all the way to the end. No surprise here.
And a monstrous 12 elim game right there. And you saw, even in the final moments, they did try to drop a couple of medium bullets there. But with that, we're going to send it over to the studio with Zeke and Sundown. What do you have for us, guys?
Oh, man. MMB starting off the day strong. We are one step closer to Shio eating an entire jar of mayonnaise.
It's escalated because he said cup, but we really didn't define cup. Some people was like, is this standard measuring cup? And someone was like, honestly, it should be a World Cup. I was actually just back in the kitchen looking to see if we could find any mayo. I'm going to have to make a run to my... It was just incredible. So that is 2 matches down in the heat. Let's take a look first at the standings and see where we're at after the first 2 games, because, that's weird. Who's that up top?
This might as well just be Shio, eat mayonnaise.
I mean,
I think
so
it
the
reads.
one thing, and we saw they had a number of elims. They were in actually 4th place after the first match, but then the 12 elim plus the victory route, Zeke talking about it, every single one of those being a point, and then the victory route being 15 as well, pushing them up to 38. They're already 7 points clear of Falcony, Robabs, and the Vic, who've been playing very well. 19 elims there is pushing them 5 points clear of Amplify, Miro, and Matzo, who had an incredible first game. I mean, it's been an... Oh.
I just want to throw out a quick little apology. Based on score, I had assumed that because Matzo, Miro, and Amplify had first place, that they had the Victory Royale. They, in fact, did not. So my apologies. All we were given was placement on the screen. That's my bad. Back to you.
We got to keep him honest, and we love him very much for it. But from this heat, so right now, you must be this tall to ride. So if we're looking at just top 8, the points, 18, that's just like a victory round is worth 15 points in and of itself. So even if you get that victory round with 3 eliminations, you can now look to strike up in the top 8. So, and we're only in second game. We're about to head into game number 3. What does this spell for like all of these other teams?
Yeah, you just have to stay consistent. You have to not fear. If you have a couple of bad games, that's okay. If you're able to get in, get situated, get a couple of eliminations, get some placement points in there. As you can see right now, to be on the first page, it's 11 points up there. But one thing I do want to take a look at here is some of the gameplay that came out from Mongrel, Mitro, and Benji. They were able to play so well, and Lupo even hinted at it, saying at around like top 40 or so, you could kind of smell that they were going to have that victory out. It had the sense of, hey, they were going to get high ground. They had everything they needed. It's like, oh, this looks like it's going to be a win from them. Let's hop on in and see how they're able to execute and get this done. And one thing you'll note is when they are on high ground, they're so incredibly disciplined with their angles. They're constantly looking around, adjusting, putting rockets towards their opponents, and then keeping control, working with each other to make sure that they're finding the right targets. I mean, Mongrel's aim on people who are in the air, honestly, you'd think he's using a controller, the way these players just get beamed as they come through, but no, it is just his amazing bro. Just as Mitra would say, that's crazy. They are running it through 38 points up top. And again, always on the high ground. And for me, that's what's so impressive. In a meta where there's so many RPGs, so many shockwaves, the way they're able to not only get initial control, but then run the rest of the lobby without having to drop down and putting themselves in bad situations. They were never threatened. Count the number of times in this clip that bullets or anything are being shot back towards them. Everyone else is so focused on just trying to rotate and avoid damage from above that these guys don't have to do really anything in terms of defensive play, and they can just focus on going forward, and it seemed like it was just going to be a win. Back to Xiaowei just be talking about the retail drop spot and how your early game sets you up for an advantage. They have so many tools at their disposal, from ammunition to rockets to excess shields to having enough mats because they had rotations early on to hold the high ground. It just makes it so easy and so clinical. And I promise, if you are a trio or you're just interested in competitive Fortnite and getting better, actually mute their streams every now and then because they can get a little loud on the comms. Ballas does a great job breaking that one down. And let's actually, because as we talked about in the heat formats, the top 8 are going to advance. But just so you can get a hint, 5 elims right now is getting you up into that second page. There is 32 teams in each one of the heats. You need to be in the top 25% in order to advance. In Europe, every single one of these guys is impressive, but they're all capable of stringing together a couple of good runs. You have 6 games. A third of them are down. You're now into kind of like the meat of it. In the next 2 games, you don't want to fall out early. So expect to see some intense battles early on and maybe a little bit more passive play kind of in the mid game, because people don't want to get dropped out. You don't want it to be a third game and then fall out and realize, oh, we're that much more off the pace. Now we really need to be pressing forward. I think you'll start seeing aggression in games 5 and 6, but 3 and 4, they're going to be playing a little bit more like me. Hanging out, just being like, oh, there's people over there? No, I'm good.
So not like me, who does not even get to play. Got it. Yeah, we'll have to see how things go because, again, like Sunan's saying, you have to be top 8 if you want to move on to grand finals. So for a lot of these teams, I think we're going to see that, though. Maybe even some teams that are even on, say, page 3, they want to try and make top 8. So they might just say, look, we're going to contest MMB at retail. Let's just go for it. We have 6 games. Let's try it once. If it doesn't work out, we'll change up the plan, but I mean, I know that's
tough,
a tall
man.
order. I'm aware.
I wouldn't say so retail loot is strong, but there's a reason why you see the most dominant teams kind of staking their ground in retail, because it's like, come and challenge us if you want, because if anything, that benefits us more. We're confident that we can take those early game fights with you. Like, if you want to split and try and do the blacktop houses, like, that's fine, but these guys will end up running at you. They will take the challenge because for them, like, they see 50 pots. They see points on the leaderboard. They see ways to climb this way up. No, it's serious. That's how MMB, that's how Volks and them, that's what they look at retail as. If you want to come there that confident, and the mental game is so important, particularly in a heat structure like this, where if you in the first 2 games, if you are hanging around off this page, if you're not in direct contention, you might think, we really need to get into it, but in reality, you're able to string together 1 or 2 strong games, or even a victory royale right now would put you through, right?
Yeah.
And any of these guys are capable of winning one of these games, so I think they can do it, but it's all about keeping a strong mental game as you're going through.
It's tough, man. I mean, as much as I want to see Shy eat a jar of mayonnaise, it would be kind of cool to have a new trio come up and, you know, dethrone MMB. I am about that, but it's just going to be a lot about mental game, you know, like you're saying. If you start to just lose your confidence even just a little bit, that's going to affect your potential placement in top 8. We'll have to see, though. I'm getting a little too excited, Fortnite fam. I want to see more of this. But yeah, look, I think we're getting ready. Battle Bus, the players are boarding. We'll be there in just a moment. I think we have a package here in just a moment. But what do you think, man? So do you think, like, where is Aqua? Did we see him? Is he on page 1?
They're not in this heat. They're not in
Oh,
this
okay,
heat.
I'm sorry.
It's different heats. It's okay.
Different heat.
This
There
is just
is-
heat 1. So
which brings me to
again,
my
just
next
to remind
point.
people, is a little too excited here. There are 4 heats
setting
coming
up for
through
you.
in Europe. 8 teams will be advancing and going on. And the way you're able to kind of score and work your way up, though in Europe, particularly, they have the highest amount of participation. So all of these players they are at the very tippy top, right? This is the top 0.001%.
Right.
These are the best of the best and the people who are very able to, like, compete against these guys. So, like, they're able to elevate their game on a particular day. However, as we're sitting here and able to, like, have our own predictions, there's a reason we all think Mitro, Mongo, and Benji have done it. There are repeated trios who have shown they're consistently stronger and that much better than the rest. It's not like we're basing this off of, like, who our favorite, breaking it down. But for now, we're going to throw to a 10-minute break while we sort some stuff out on our end. We'll go talk to the bus driver, try and get that going. You guys take your bio breaks, whatever you need. We'll be right back.
Hello, family of Fortnite. BallTW here, and throughout the Fortnite Champion Series, we're going to be trying competitive Fortnite. Today, we're going to be discussing the 3 different stages of a competitive Fortnite game: the early game, the mid game, and the late game, and what different players have as their goals during these stages in order to achieve the ultimate goal, the victory royale. Let's start with the early game. Also called the looting phase, this is where all players are attempting to secure their chosen landing spot and maximize their loot potential. In competitive Fortnite, every game matters, so players try to strike a balance between high loot opportunity and safety so as to not waste a game by being eliminated early. Do you drop at a high loot POI like Retail Row or Paradise Palms? Or land at a safer POI on the edge of the map, where less players drop because of less loot. Regardless, the goal is common, whether you take a passive approach by looting safely on the side of the map, or an aggressive and risky approach by letting others loot for you and finding early eliminations. Now that we know what the early game is, what should we be looking out for during this stage? First things first, being contested. The first realization players make when landing is whether you're being contested or not, to prepare for the upcoming possible fight. Trios want to try to force your opponent into the more disadvantageous. Either they have to make a desperation push, or they're stuck with less loot where you can easily clean up. That's just the beginning, as even though it starts off high intensity with all the different POIs being contested, it quickly slows down as the rotations begin towards first zone. Looting doesn't end here, and most competitive players will have a loot path, which optimizes their possibility for finding the crucial mobility and weapon upgrades. Thanks to the new battle map feature in the replay mode, we can study these loot paths and rotations quite easily these days. So go check that out in any replay from the Fortnite Champion Series by going into the Compete tab and finding your favorite player. End of second zone. The mid game is the calm before the storm. Before the storm circle gets too small where it forces the engagements. Most players' goals aren't positional, but in some cases, depending on how the early game went, you again have to strike a balance, this time between looting and farming, or going for the best position. Looting could include playing extremely aggressive to earn yourself other players' loot. In trios, it's much harder to play that aggressive playstyle, since fights take longer and cost more. You'll want to be you have to take. You don't want to spend your precious mobility, valuable resources, or health. This is why you'll see a lot of the top players look directly for center zone in the mid game. When you're in the center zone, you end up giving yourself the most chance of being in the next storm circle when it gets revealed. You'll then have to go less distance and thus spend less materials. Finally, the end game. The most exciting, hectic, thrilling, and difficult part of competitive Fortnite. Experiencing an endgame can be confusing and hard to process, but it will also be one of the most rewarding and fun times to play advantages you built in the early game and the mid game and use them to push yourself to a victory royale, and also find as many eliminations as possible. In the current Fortnite Champion Series format, every elimination matters, just like it did in the World Cup. From 6th zone onwards, where the calm from the mid-game explodes into a cacophony of tunneling, mobility usage, and shots being fired, you'll see teams go for the ever-so-advantageous high ground, where they can tunnel very cheaply and have the most opportunity on the rest of the server for elimination, as they have the top-down view. You'll also see teams call out the need to find a good layer, which is away from other players, both above, below, and horizontally from you. You'll see teams desperate for the extra materials to last them through to the full zone closure, going for impact eliminations where they can top off on resources and power weaponry of their fallen. Or you're joining us on the field, take stock in the stage of the game. The early game, when you're trying to get the best possible loot while it's still available. The mid game, where you're balancing positioning while maintaining what you built during the early game. And finally, the end game, where you spend all the advantages you set yourself up with to earn the victory royale. Use this to form your game plan in order to earn as many series points weekend after weekend. And maybe next time, we'll be watching and highlighting your top plays. This was BalaTW, and I'll see you in game.
Hey guys, Shadow Wager here, bringing you a breakdown on one of the most dynamic, flexible, and clutch items every trio is utilizing in the Fortnite Champion Series, the Shockwave Grenade. We're going to be taking a look at some of the basics on how it's used and misused at crucial moments in the game, and how to adapt and play against them towards the end game. To get started, let's get a refresher on what shockwaves are and some of the basics of using them. Shockwave grenades are a utility item that drop in stacks of 2, with a maximum stack size of 6. When thrown, the shockwave launches anyone within its tile and a half radius far distances, destroying builds in the process, with the added protection from fall damage for the players who use them. The most effective way to gain maximum distance is to time your jump well with a shockwave right below you, angling yourself above it for higher vertical movement, or towards the side of it in midair for horizontal coverage. If you do use a shockwave to rotate through builds late game, you will only be able to go through about 5 layers of to a stop. When going for height, if you don't get stopped by any opposing player's builds at all, you can reach upwards of 7.5 tiles in height, giving anyone above you a surprise and changing both yours and your enemy's game plan in a split second. Although really easy to understand and use individually, once entering the atmosphere of trios and teamwork, the use of shockwaves enters a whole new dimension. There are deciding factors in win conditions if used properly, allowing for easy positioning and rotations. Using them and sticking together after the landing is efficient and gets your whole trio at a lesser rate compared to the rest of the competition. Saving these grenades for later use brings an element of surprise as well, and a level of shock to the whole server. Looking at 8th and 9th zones with densely packed endgames, vertical shockwaves make high ground and mid ground layers crumble, and give patient trios and surviving solos a way to counter long tarps and bases towering above them. Facing off against 3 players usually proves fatal though, as you are vulnerable throughout your whole flight and easily targeted by the trio you're trying to attack. Turbo building walls on the way up from your shockwave can work against this though, but gives your newfound height poor foundation, easily shot out and focused from below. Panicking with shockwaves in your own box and misusing them is always an irreversible mistake during the game, giving you poor positioning split away from your trio, costing you building resources, or ultimately you and your teammates their entire health and shield pool if used at the absolute incorrect moment. To counteract the chaos from shockwaves, negate the negatives and potential mishaps in certain situations. When going for height, separately boxing up before using the shockwaves and going for height then allows you to have power in numbers as 3 players get a vertical rotation together, overwhelming the competition. Discovering new positioning and shockwave throwing angles and targets within your box might keep your trio and teammates closer together when using one shockwave to rotate, saving crucial mats and attracting less attention during your mid-game rotations. You also save your total shockwave count by doing this, allowing for more opportunities to challenge high ground, grief low ground in the endgame, or rotate in mid-game. Countermeasures can be taken too, such as keeping a teammate higher than normal multiple layers above you, as in the event of a vertical shockwave, you still have someone up high who can rain down and support your trio on a retake. Keeping your own shockwaves handy is a way to counter anyone taking height off of you as well, but if both trios play mind games and the circle gets small, the chance there is for a messy, repeat shockwave circus happening all at the same time. Player after player gets sent flying in the sky, with teammates all getting sent around in and out of the storm, off their tarp layers, and splits costing your trio more mats and resources than normal. Identifying these mistakes, staying in your lane, and watching teams move is a good way to anticipate and prevent disaster from striking before it happens. Although an item overlooked as simple mobility at first, the potential and efficiency of using shockwave grenades as a trio separates the good players from the great, and practicing, reviewing, and watching how height when using one of the most versatile items in the game. Keep your team's position in mind while breaking. You get it just right, and who knows, maybe you can have that top play or amazing clutch that saves your team while competing in the FNCS.
What's up, Fortnite fam? So first of all, sorry about that. We had a little bit of issues on our side with the European matches flushing, but there's been a ton of Fortnite action going on this morning anyway, with Middle East wrapping up their first and second heat. So we have the final results, and we're gonna hop into some of the action. And also, I just want to say, my predictions for Middle East are looking pretty good. I know Z kind of hinted at it, but competitive Twitter and also on the YouTube, some of our prediction and our preview piece we were able to go through, and we talked about what some of our predictions, particularly in the Middle East and European region, are. So make sure you get up to date on that, get what our thoughts and opinions are. But we're going to be hopping into Heat 2, Match 1 of the Middle East region in just a second here. And honestly, I'm excited. It's going to be the first time seeing Middle East in outside of the open tournament format and seeing the top teams really go at it. And honestly, looking at the heats afterward, there are a lot of big changes now up on the board here. You can see there were some differences in the predictions. One, I will say, I was the one who predicted Flame, Prime, and Hunter up there. So swap Zeke and I's names, but otherwise, Klops, Hero Kappa, and Fiesel were the favorites going through. They performed pretty well. You will be seeing them in the Middle East Grand Final tomorrow. However, Flame able to have a positive day in their heat and advance through. So predictions so far are holding steady, and it's going to be exciting once we get in. There is a different style of play, different types of gameplay from all over the regions, but enough from me. I've talked enough. Let's throw it on over to Lupo and Monster as they take you into Middle East Heat 2, Match 1.
Sundown, thank you very much. Just a quick note to those at home. Occasionally we run into issues on the cast. Do your best to not get too worked up about it. You know, there's a lot of things at play here, so you have to imagine a 10-minute break is an insanely short amount of time to recover and get back into the games. See here on your screen, G2 Game 1 of the Middle East region just starting off. Tilted Town, a number of teams dropping down the bottom. Down here, pressure in the bottom, and the pump shotgun. An early blue pump shotgun is honestly one of the most powerful weapons you can get it just hits so hard for and so many up-close fights, too.
Such a clean shot. And that's one of the perks of landing in Tilted Town. You know you're going to get a blue... You know you're leaving a blue pump, you're leaving with shockwaves, you're guaranteed heals. Like, guaranteed minimal.
Exactly.
Not only that, you're probably going to get yourself some launch pads as well. So this is the place to be, especially if you want to guarantee your loadout. And
that's...
you
tough.
stick around just to get back to the
tough.
lobby. Not much you can do there. You catch one pick, maybe you get a point for your leaderboard, basically, but
even then,
his battle to lose.
You have to hope it's like a solo, otherwise, you know, they're just going to get picked back up almost immediately. It's a tough spot to be in, but yeah, you're saying early game in Tilted has such a refined loot pool. The trade-off of not some people's mindsets not having to build because you know that you can just focus on gun skill and accuracy is such a big factor in building up an early loot. Just the early loot game is so it's huge here. Like
It's
I said,
actually crazy,
heals like
too.
crazy. Everybody's going to come out stacked with a good set of materials. In fact, just because you can pick up all that stuff out of the chest and off of every elimination. If you do get challenged here, it's arguably one of the better spots to drop right now.
Yeah, I was just going to say, imagine a game where one of these guys bring that double barrel out of Tilted Town, because there are some rules in play where the double barrel shotgun only spawns in Tilted, but you can even take the weapons out of the place as well. And
Third time's a charm. There we go.
I was
Finally made
going
it
to
up
say,
top.
he's having a little bit of a struggle there, trying to get up and over. He's
Got
going
to track down that space bar. It runs away sometimes. Unless they're playing on controller, I guess. My apologies. Controller gang, love you.
If anything, Controller Gang has the best movement we've seen so far. These guys can go 360 on the...
Clearly, you don't watch my
running and
stream,
all that.
Monster. I appreciate it, though. Yeah.
Hamlet here. A little bit of a standoff. Moon, Minzu, and Kinji here have that high ground. There's 3 teams here.
The prediction from 4 of the 5 of us, one of the players, Klops, going down on the feet up top there. You hate to see that.
And if I had to guess, I actually did a Middle Eastern VOD review. They land towards Junction, so they must have had some kind of problems over at Haunted Hills, but we'll talk about that in just a bit here as Kenji uses a valuable shockwave to try and take the high ground here, and he is going to get chipped just a little bit. And such a nice pinch going on right here. And this is one of our newer competitive regions, so you know, a little bit of catch-up, right, to catch up to the rest of the competitive scene, per se.
Good, Monster. I mean, we've even watched each other grow very quickly playing the game just from watching these competitive experiences. You have opportunities like this. Look at that. The Kiji immediately flicks up, gets the knock-on info, who's trying to shockwave from, over the top. But you know they've been watching the competitive experience between all these other regions. That kind of learning has to have happened.
The little ramp edit right there to catch AZ2M, and yeah, that's what I wanted to touch on, is that they were held back for so long because of the ping differences, right?
Yep.
But now having their own region, a lot of it has, you know, a lot of these players have found a little bit of remedy in that factor as well. So good for them. We see new faces come up and have their moment, pretty much catch a little highlight here today.
Kiji picking up the knock for the middle of that fight. A valiant trade, though. Honestly, if your team only suffers a single knockdown, you pick up those 3 eliminations, I'd say that's 100% worth it. Those bubble shields in rotation out. Team moving up on top of the hill.
And not
Lucky landing.
He was actually hit with a little headshot right there, ripped apart all of his shield. Now forced only down to bandages, and this is a battle that they have to take on their heels here. And I like what they're doing. They're backing up as a squad, trying to use this time to also gather some mats in the process. This team is not letting up. You have the NL squad right here, Nella, Easy, and Saya Zine right here, or Saya's Ren, excuse me. And they're coming in with a push. They're still fully shielded.
High ground right now. Going to have to fight out one player all the way at the top. Shots coming from the third party right there. Looks like a teammate trying to knock down that build as they're pushing up. Sai, ultimate high ground, looking down from above. Little explode from underneath. Gonna have to build against that. Waiting for the peak shot. Look at the timing on that. Very last second before getting to the pyramid. Gets a ton of big shots. Looking for the last one. There it is. Finds the knock on Izzy. They have the advantage at this point. Picks up that elimination up to 125 total HP. Nella gets knocked. Wow. And an RPG in there is going to be huge. Tack shotgun shots back-to-back for the loss of silence down there in the bottom left corner.
Fighting on the heels right there, and they turn that battle around. Very well done. Not Sai, I've actually had the pleasure with, I'm pretty sure, talking as I've, browsed around the Middle Eastern region. So good to see him pull as they now are pretty much clear, and they have the zone. They're in the clear. They have the zone. They can get this revive off. So Silence is going to be able to come back in the game as he gets hit up on the reboot van.
Huge value. That being said, the inventory of Sai has 2 green tactical shotguns in there, some bandages, an AR, and that TAC SMG. Lucky landing, looking like it is calm at this point. A lot of builds, but no competition. This trio is going to be able to pick back up, potentially finish looting up down here, farm any materials they can get out of it. They're in the safe zone. Circle still has 38 seconds before it closes, so they're not feeling too much pressure in any way right now. We'll have to see where the next circle goes. This is a good opportunity for them to build up a good buffer, materials, healing, any leftover loot that might be down here, and make their way onto the next safe zone without much issue. Meanwhile, Suber, Sammy, and Dream from outside of the storm, the far east drop here in the desert.
Such a weird place to play as well. The moisty palms where you can't just crouch freely. You have to be very cautious. A lot of the competitive players opting to unbind the crouch just in case. You know, you don't want to make any mistakes there. And honestly, if you do that, you're kind of in the advantage.
المايك شغال؟ المايك شغال يا جدعان ولا لا؟ لحظة. المايك شغال؟ لحظة يا جماعة بعمل حاجة واشوف بس المايك. عم بعمل ايه؟ شغال. ماشي. شوف يا حبيبي تجزا اللي بتاعتي. شوف تجزا اللي بتاعتي.
To kind of seal the deal, they say, you know what, instead, we're going to focus more on the zone here. They're going to get ahead, so they use that little bit of distraction, downtime, and chaos to get ahead of the zone here. It's probably still going to work if they can get to the zone first and turn the battle back around.
Depends on how fast the storm is moving. They are close to the short side, so it's moving slower. But yeah, you have a chance maybe for a pickup there, but I think, like you were saying, at this moment they say, yeah, we got the knock, we could push for it, but placement at this point probably more important. You're looking at 26 trios remaining. You don't get the placement points until top 15, and even then, it's only 3. So right now, pushing into the storm, getting to safe, very, very important. You want to try and make that top 15 as early as possible. You know, get to a safe spot so you can sit and wait.
So a little bit of a storm surge warning.
عليكم السلام. انا القحطاني. يا رب بس لكن بس اشترك في القناه. عايزين نوصل النهارده 7 بس اشترك. عليكم. اوكي. نورك بس والله. انتوا واضح ولا لسه ايه؟ علي المايك شويه. بدل استنى والله ما هو انت فين يا احمد؟ انت هنا. مش ليه استنى اعمل بارتي. بس وقف خلاص ليه كده. ايه يا ابني راح الحرم بقى كده هلا ورا. طيب اوكي بقى. كله اونلاين بس. هو في محدش بيلعب ليه؟ اللعبة عايزة ابديت. ريان ويلكم نورت بس والله. خش بقى لايك بس واشتراك في القناة. عليكم السلام حمزة منورين. ده اشتراك عايزين نوصل ل 320 النهارده. تذكروا الايتم شوب طبعا ام دبليو اف اشتراك تاني. شوفوا منورين مرتين اهو. كتبت غلط والله مش عارف. هلست المايك شوية. طب لحظة يا جماعة. هي فين؟ كده كويس؟ تعالى حلو كده. يلا ايوه مصر يا عم.
I'm surprised they're not using. They have 11 chug splashes. Use even just one of those, just to top off one player and get your last one to only 5
البطولة في
HP
الجنب
missing.
والله عايز اتفرج على
If
البطولة
you're in
ولا
a
عايز
bad
اتفرج على
spot and you start
الجنة.
getting beamed, you're gonna want every single HP
مش
that you
طبعا
can get.
اشتراك ما
Double heavy. Here we go. Looking for it. Finds the first one.
داخل دوبل غلط.
Leaves and not side goes down. Straight
طبعا
into
كل
the
واحد
launch
شوف
pad.
كل واحد
Taking
بيقف
it.
سهل الصراحة. يا جماعة في حد بيتفرج على البطولة؟ صوتك زين على المايك. والله انت رصتك حلو.
Especially in trio, there's way too many eyes focused on the field here. There's no way you can sit still in a box. That's the price you pay right there.
يا جماعة
FHD.
معلش والله اقف البطولة عشان الدنيا عادي. مصر ام الدنيا احب مصر. وانا كمان ما بحبش مصر. عادي كله بيحب مصر. ميت. ايه ده؟ ده حقيقي يدخل. هذا 61 واما حد يضرب عليا بيدمج بيه. ليه؟ مش عارف انا ليه مدخلني جوه اصلا. لسه مشتركش اشترك ولسه ما فعلتش، هو لسه بنقول مشترك مش فاهم زر اشارات يفعل زر اشارات. ولو ما عملش لايك يعمل لايك. جبت كل حاجه اهو. علي المايك تكفى. طيب ماشي. بص عليت المايك حلو كده. المايك كده حلو ولا في بنات؟ لا لا عادي في بنات كله فيه. ويلكم يا امنه، ما تنسيش لايك البث، اشترك في القناه. عايزين نوصل النهارده 320 مشترك وبس. باك وش السالفه؟ ولا شيء والله. قفلت اسمه ايه، قفلت البطولة ومقضيها بقى جيم وخلاص لان البطولة مش حلوة. ويلكم منورة. ما تنسيش بقى اشتراك في القناة يا جماعة، لسه مشتركش اشتراك عشان خاطري. يا جماعة محدش بيشترك والله، احنا 313 برضه. نزعل منك يا حمزة وانت وانا. محمد عمر حبيبي. بنج عالي، ايوه انزل كده تمام. اسف ان كل شويه اقول لك باك. يا عم انت بتاسف عليا والله عادي. انا بحب الناس كده تقعد تكتب كلام في الفاضي عشان بس يبقى متفاعل، بس يقعدوا يكتبوا كلام وخلاص. اكتبوا اي حاجه ما عنديش مانع. انا ناوي على تلت النهارده خلاص قررت. لعيونك تسلم والله يا حمزه. ده انا ما بعرفش اقول ايه والله. حد يقول حاجه حلوه ما بعرفش اقول ايه. قلت تسلم حبيبي شكرا وخلاص، ده اللي انا بقوله. ما بعرفش اتكلم انا، مش عارف فاتح قناه ليه انا والله. بامب ريلاكس بقى، ما حدش يجيبني. ها ريلاكس. مينيز منورين. ام البث. انا حاسك بتشتم البث في ايه يا عم؟ في جاكس بلاش حلو. واقفين ايه يا جدعان الخلط ده؟ انا جالي لاج من كتر الخلط والله. عندي لاج فشخ. احلى يوتيوبر انت، شكرا على الله. يا عم انجز. عمي ريلاكس. هو فين اللي بيضرب؟ ريلاكس بقى. شفت له الطلقة. وتحت صح؟ ابلع. استمر يا مبدع. شكرا والله يا حمزة. استمر بوكو يا عم. انت اسطورة، انت الاسطورة. تعال لسه مشتركش اشترك. يلا عايزين نوصل ل 320 النهارده. هو فين؟ فوق الجبل صح؟ يا حيوان. في اتنين اوكي. محبش البيت ده. لا ريلاكس. ايوه افتح باب. دخل جوه. اوكي ديد. في ايه؟ حلو ماشي. محمد تكفى. عطني ايمك الحلو يا حلو. اوكي ابعتهولك بالجي بي اس يا عم عادي. بص هو الايم محتاج فترة تدريب بس. بعدين انا ايمي مش حلو. انا شايف ان ايمي بويض. انت اسطورة العرب والله، انت اسطورة العرب يا حمزة.
تاكل يا ابني ولا مش مهم؟
مش مهم.
طعمية ومخلل وبيتزا.
اسطورة العرب. انت الاسطورة. والله احبك اسطورة يا بطل يا قمر. شكرا يا عبد العزيز وشكرا يا حمزة، والله العظيم انتوا الاساطير. مش عارف اقول لكم ايه، ما تنسوش بقى شيرلب بس عشان الناس كلها تشوفه. في واحد هنا. هو في ايه؟ هو الواد ده عبيط بجد. والله انا اللي عبيط مش هو. هو بيعمل ايه؟ بجد والله بيعمل ايه؟ هات لي امسك ستيل ازرق. كام بيج؟ واحدة؟ مش عارف اخد ايه. ما شاء الله امك حلو ما شاء الله. كفايه يا عم طلعت السنايبر بتاعت دي المفروض ما تضيعش. والله ما عدت عارف اخد البيج وخلاص. محمد نعم، انا متابعك من العراق. تسلم والله وحلو. واهلا باهل العراق كلهم. كم مشرف عندي؟ مش عارف والله، بس كتير قوي. انا هصفيهم اصلا قريب لان في ناس كتير مشرفين وما دخلوش البث غير مره واحده. كنت في الاول بدي لاي حد. يا حبيبي طلع امسك السين البنج عادي. ده عن شير بس اهم حاجه الشير والله. هو فين؟ تاكتيكال شوت جان. هات لي التاكتيكال شوت جان. جول اسمي ازين كوندور. انا مش عارف اقول اسمك الصراحه. ارين كوردو. اوكي. كان في واحد تاني صح؟ بس هو اكيد ما كانش بيضرب على نفسه. تمام. في شاشه سودا. لا بتهزروا يا جدعان. طيب لحظه اقفل البث واشغله تاني. تمام. قولوا بس يا رب ما اموتش. ماشي يا جماعه كله يشترك في البث. يا جماعه الشاشه السودا، الشاشه السودا عند كله. الشاشه السودا عند كله. لحظه يا جماعه لحظه. طيب يا جماعه كله يشترك عشان هقفل بس شغاله تاني. يلا اخش الزون بس اول. اوكي كله بس يشترك في القناه. ما تنساش تفعل زر الاشعارات عشان اقفل بس شغاله تاني فيتابعني بعد ما افتح. هشغله تاني دلوقتي حالا يعني. اوكي يلا. يا رب ما اموتش بس.